Each month, myself and other Irrational Passions members will play through a new game. Modern to retro, obscure to popular. Games we've played before and those we haven't. We'll be hitting checkpoints as we go and discussing our experiences. Play along with us and join in the discussion. This is Video Game Book Club. Welcome, everybody, back to Video Game Book Club. I am once again your host, Scott. Today, I am joined by, joining us for the first time, the final member to make his appearance on Video Game Book Club from IP, Mr. Logan Wilkinson. How's it going?
Hey, hi, it's me. I'm doing good. How you doing, Scott?
Doing good. Thank you for asking. Good week so far. Have a good
Finally.
Sunday. Good Easter.
I did have a good Easter. Yeah, Easter was a lot of fun. I got some Dominoes to really celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Mr. Dominoes, and it was a good time all around.
So basically, you just slathered pizza sauce on Jesus and threw some cheese on him, because bread is the body of the Savior. So you just had some Italian Jesus bread.
They buried the Noid in the cave and closed the cave up with a boulder. And 3 days later, he rose again, the Noid, claiming pizza.
The Noid woke us again.
With cheesy bread crust and marinara dipping sauce.
Yeah.
Got some crazy bread.
That's a Savior I can get behind.
It was great.
Praise be unto the crazy bread.
You know it.
Ooh.
A face you all know and love if you've been watching Video Game Book Club for a while. He makes his return. Mr. Mike Burgess, how you doing, my friend?
I feel like it's been longer than it's actually been, because I was like sitting there thinking, I was like, I haven't been on one of these in a while. I was like, wait, did like Ori like
that was the game before Thimbleweed.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, oh yeah, maybe it wasn't that long ago. So.
We had an extra week in there, and also during that extra week, we went to PAX, and we all aged 1,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. That was like 10 years in and of itself, and you're just like, oh,
I remember Book Club.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
Book Club.
Oh, what game? And of course, the best boy that hits you with the hard-hitting, thought-provoking questions like artificial intelligence stuff, Mr. Alex O'Neill. Hello,
It's
how are
me.
you doing, sir?
I'm great, Scott. I hope you're doing excellent as well. I'm here to ask questions about AI and books and clubs. So I hope y'all are ready.
Like it. What's your favorite kind of club? Are you more like a mall, or are you more of a fan of maces, or like spike clubs?
Turkey Club sounds pretty good.
Ooh.
Yeah, turkey.
Going
Solid.
the bacon route, always the best choice. The one with bacon.
I got this is an Easter miracle. I got 5 pounds of bacon the day before Easter, because we couldn't just add 5 pounds of bacon.
Bacon was thrust upon you.
Basically, yeah.
That
I
sounds
got 5 pounds.
amazing.
You know who could use 5 pounds of bacon?
The Noid?
Dr. Lamb, because she needs to fucking chill. See how I just bring these.
She needs to get
segues?
porked.
She was maybe porked as in killed by bacon, but
Yeah.
Best way to die.
best way to die.
Death by bacon. Yeah.
It's the next Mission Impossible movie, I believe.
I'd watch it.
Just
Mission
Tom
Impossible
Cruise
Death
running
by
from
Bacon.
Stampede of pigs.
Absolutely.
I'd watch it.
Honestly, I'd watch 90 straight minutes of Tom Cruise running. So
Yeah.
It's probably out there. You could probably.
That's the Mission
you could
Impossible
probably
6.
find
the
that.
Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
It is
very good. Spoiler. Very good.
Good movies.
But yes, this game picked by Mr. Logan is this.
Hey.
For the next few episodes, we will be doing Bioshock 2, originally released on February 9th, 2010. And with all of the first episodes of games, we like to do a little thing where we look back in the Wayback Machine and see what other games came out the year that this game came out. 2010, good year. It was a good year.
Yeah.
I graduated from high school in 2010. Very good year.
We had Mass Effect 2 come out. That was huge. Like, I remember the marketing for that, the suicide mission.
It was like one of the first bombcasts I ever remember listening to was them asking Brad Shoemaker about alien boning, which was, of course, about Mass Effect 2.
Hell yeah. Gotta get that alien boning in.
Never played it.
Fallout New Vegas, Obsidian picked up the reins from Bethesda and made a very good, some would argue the best Fallout game with Fallout New
Had like
Vegas.
a panic attack somewhere.
Ooh.
Somebody would. I don't know. I'm super conflicted about Fallout New Vegas, just because I played so much Fallout 3, though. I think a lot more of that.
I remember I bought it for my brother for the 360 for his birthday or something, and he never let me play it. So,
Nice, dude.
Yeah, good times.
Good job, big bro.
I think Quinn likes New Vegas a lot.
New Vegas
George
has
does,
just
too.
recently got like a big mod patch where people added in a bunch of like cut content and stuff. I remember that recently.
I remember being very good and very cool, and it's probably a better game than Fallout 3. But I played so much of Fallout 3 that just playing more of it essentially, but better written, I just couldn't get through. I think that was like my big feeling.
New Vegas doesn't have Liam Neeson.
Does not.
Sure.
And it's there's a lot of desert.
point.
A lot of desert.
Yeah, lots of desert. Darksiders came out. I love
Darksiders
that
is
game.
lit.
I love that game
too.
Great. Game.
I like it better than 90% of the God of Wars.
Whoa, that's a take.
True.
Okay.
Like like the original Dark. Oh,
I'm kind of with them.
Yeah, I get
It
behind
had
that.
that like hack and slashness of like a God of War, but it also had like the exploration and like Zelda and RPG mechanics. Oh, so good. And I love the lore of it. So good.
Yeah, Darksiders lore is like my shit.
Super good.
Yeah, it's super
Way
cool.
into it.
I just
wish
need-
Darksiders 3 was better.
I just need a Darksiders 4 where everyone teams up and you can play with 3 of your friends and each of you is a horseman.
No.
We can believe in
That's
that.
what I want. That's my dream.
I'd be fine even if it was just like you could swap between them, like a single player game where you just swap between them.
It
Oh, that
sounds
would be
like
sick,
Even that would be cool.
it sounds like they're probably
to
going to make.
Darksiders 4, yeah.
I think it sounds like they're probably going to make
One day.
Darksiders 4, but it's going to be.
They
it's
need to
probably
make
gonna
it better though.
It's gonna be a bit.
It's going to be the last
Yeah.
person. It's going to be Strife, and it's just going to be him. And
It's going to
everyone
be
will
a cooking
disappointed.
simulator because each
It'll
game
be a
has to be
cooking
different.
You
It's
know
gonna be a
what?
cooking simulator.
Darksiders Mama. Let's go.
Dark Mama.
Okay.
Dark Mama.
StarCraft 2 came out, reviving this series with Wings of Liberty.
Man.
I remember
Maybe-
the cluster in how angry people were that was going to be an episodic game.
Yeah.
That was a
And
big thing.
I feel like it was probably better for that game than it was episodic.
Yeah, sort of the story, definitely. I still haven't picked up the latest one, but I did play a lot of Wings of Liberty. Void
feel
Race
like-
for days.
Nobody talks about
It's true.
StarCraft 2 anymore, really, I
No.
feel. It's kind of a bummer.
Esports have kind of shied away and
on.
kind of diverged from the RTS games, I feel.
It's all about MOBAs.
Yeah, man.
You get your APM up in that shit now. Let me tell you about how many items I can buy in 35 minutes, Logan.
Oh, snap.
Great. That's
How
good.
many?
A lot, like 17, I think.
17,
like,
all right.
That's like a strong build in a
Yeah.
Those are all terms. And I jungled in the middle lane, and then I was ganked by the tower, and
Jared
I had
Green
to
is
buy a
throwing up.
teleport.
in his mouth somewhere right now.
And
been
then
to a
I
tower
ulted
before.
and won the game.
Yeah. Some,
You gotta kill the creeps.
The creeps,
courier,
yeah.
courier came and he gave me some stuff.
Yeah.
We
You know
write
what
about
I mean? He
video
gave me some stuff.
We
man.
professionally write about video games. I'd just like to
You know,
remind
right.
everyone to watch it.
Red Dead Redemption 1 came out. Love that game.
The first game I've played on this list so far. Yeah, Red
So
Redemption
good.
1.
Really liked
Very
Red
good.
Dead Redemption.
You know it's better
Fantastic
game
DLC with Undead
Alex
Nightmare.
already knows.
Wait, no, Logan. What is Red Dead 1 better than? I don't know.
Hey, yeah, it's a better video game than Red Dead Redemption 2, in fact. Some might say, like, demonstrably better, in fact. Some might say it's
Oh.
like an actual game that is
I'm
enjoyable.
right there with you.
But also, I'll acknowledge my inherent bias as Red Dead Redemption 2 is the white whale and bane of my existence. So
It's
like,
it's
you know.
basically the anti-Logan.
Call me
It's just-
Ishmael.
It's just Red Dead Redemption 1 is like such a, I think, special game, and like it's one of those games for me where it's like even if you're not a big Rockstar fan, there are still a few games I think kind of sprinkled throughout their run that would still appeal to you because they're just so different than GTA. And I think Bully is one of those games, and I think Red Dead is one of those games. It's a really, really special game, and like what it does in terms of the Western genre and like turn of the century America is fantastic, and John Marston is such a great character, and that cast is so brilliant, and that world is so alive and like vibrant, and the music is unbelievable. Like, it's an incredible game, and it is an incredible game and a giant sweeping epic game that's also really, really intimate, and it is all these things in 20 to 30 hours.
It's crazy to think that game came out 9 years ago.
Yeah, I agree to that.
It's May 2010.
Yeah, that was literally the month I graduated from high school. I probably picked that game up right afterwards.
Nice.
So good. Fable 3 came out and made me super angry at the ending.
Yeah, man. Talk about like one of the first big divisive endings to a game, Fable 3. Whew, people were pissed about that game.
It jumps like 100 days, and you have no way of knowing that, and then you just fucked.
Yeah, it really like
so angry.
It very intentionally, I think.
Still angry about that.
Fights the player. I wish I was into Fable because I've always wanted to be.
Yeah,
I enjoy the games, but that
I didn't
just
play 3.
That just made.
I played the first 2.
They made it. They hyped up the choice, like you'd have to make tough decisions and choices when you're king, and they turned so one-sided. It's like, do you want to build orphanages that help children and give free puppies to everybody, or do you want to build a sewage factory that disperses toxic gas into the world? It's like, well, hell yeah, I'm going puppies. Damn.
Yeah. And then they fuck you for it.
And then it's like, you have
easy the leader, man.
Almost a third of a year disappears like that.
Yeah.
The best, in my opinion, the best Halo came out, Halo Reach.
Love
Halo Reach.
Undoubtedly the Halo game that I'm most interested to play and that I've been told to like the one that I would actually really like.
Too. Yeah, I really want to play it.
That is my favorite. I love that game. What they do at the end and even the beginning. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait till it's in the Master Chief Collection.
Halo Reach. You know what reminds me a lot of Halo Reach?
Good.
Rogue One. I feel like Rogue One is the Halo Reach of the Halo franchise. Sure. Which is good. That's praise for me. I like Rogue One.
Rogue One's very good.
Especially with I know how Halo Reach ends.
Yeah.
Like I know at that moment, and it's like, oh yeah, that is like a very end of Rogue One kind of moment too. That's cool. I have not played Halo Reach. I want to. It's coming to the.
That would be a fun 4-player co-op game.
Yeah, we could.
Oh yeah,
a fun stream of that. I think
that would be.
And we're gonna buy an Xbox Sad Edition.
Yeah.
So
sad.
So sad.
And we got Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.
Never heard of it.
It's Logan. Let me tell you about Xehanort.
Yeah, tell me all that
origin story. Let me tell you about my boy Xehanort.
I'm gonna tell you about the Keyblade, but not the Keyblade you're thinking of, like the Keyblade, like
it's like a Greek symbol.
Letter Keyblade.
Yeah.
And Leonard Nimoy's in there.
Like Kai. I'll say like Birth by Sleep, Leonard Nimoy, Mark Hamill. Like you got these huge names that they added to that franchise. Like in both roles that they did really well. Birth by Sleep is a really.
I love Birth by Sleep. It's one of my favorites of the series. But we're not here to talk about any of those games, even though we
wait, Scott.
Even though we just did.
We did skip Alan Wake, and I do like. I feel
that's true.
I'm sitting here like looking at Mike, wondering if he's gonna say something.
True. We did forget Alan Wake. Good game. Needs a
another game I've never
sequel.
played.
Oh, that's like the most Logan video game.
It is a pretty Logan video game.
Yeah.
Very Stephen King, very like northeastern town, like it's good. That's like if I ever lure you into my home, Logan, I'm gonna make you play that game.
I mean, I've been in your home multiple times over multiple years.
I mean, just the two of us, intimate, like you know what I mean?
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Alex rocking those like martini briefs.
Yeah,
and stuff that he was rocking at PAX.
Oh yeah,
he's good in this.
He did.
But yeah, you can go on. I'm sorry, Scott.
Oh, no worries. Alan Wake deserved at least a mention. But yes, we are here for Bioshock 2. The initial checkpoint was to get through Ryan's Amusement, and we're gonna do things. The format. We're trying something new with this episode. With the next few episodes, changing up the format a bit. So right now we're going to kind of blast through in a few minutes of the rundown of what happened during the checkpoint. Then after that, each one of us is going to get on our soapbox, and we've come up with topics or like a thing we really want to talk about, and then the rest of us will react and kind of bounce our thoughts off that idea. So let's break down checkpoint number 1. Well, the game opens with a cutscene, and you are a big daddy this time, and you're following your little sister around through a party. Little sister screams, and you go all big daddy. you get like put in a trance of some sort, and then you shoot yourself in the head. Flash forward 10 years, you wake up from this bullet-induced coma, and you find out that Sophia Lamb, the person that caused you or made you shoot yourself in the head, still alive and is now running Rapture, this underwater city that's now in complete disrepair and disarray from the events of the first Bioshock, which we're not getting into, but we'll assume you know about. You meander around, you grab a lightning plasmid. Now you can open a door because the door is locked and you need lightning. You continue on, and you find a little sister and are introduced to the big sister, who you then have to fight and kind of scare off. So, after that, a teacher named Tannenbaum contacts you and requests your assistance to stop Lamb and find your original little sister from the very beginning, Eleanor. She's alive. She needs rescuing. You have to go get her.
Tannenbaum also in the first Bioshock. Very important character in that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the character that you help. You give the little sisters you
Yeah,
to.
and that she's the one who snaps the Bioshock 1 spoiler alert, I guess, but like the one that snaps kind of Ryan and all those guys kind of control over you is Tannenbaum.
Okay.
She's basically like the moral compass in terms of like the good side of things in Rapture. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you could definitely get that view from here. Like, you see her, the first time you see her is in like a little schoolhouse working with a bunch of cured or rescued little sisters.
Which is also important to note because she's one who was like in charge of like creating the little sisters in Bioshock. Like,
yeah, she's like the best person with Adam. Like, I think.
And so her whole thing was that like she saw what they'd become, and she like was horrified about that, and so like she kind of rebelled against that, and there's like a whole like kind of her own more arc. And you kind of there's an audio tape in Bioshock 2 that you pick up early on that talks about her being like, I still have to like redeem myself for what has happened from like all of them, and like I came back down here to find them because I saw more of them were getting like taken and disappeared. So.
Okay. Yeah. You kind of discover that you are one of the original first Big Daddies.
Oh, geez.
Lamb likes to refer to you as Delta.
I wish somebody called me Delta.
Yeah.
It's a cool nickname.
I'll change your name on my phone right now.
Yeah.
Delta Senpai.
Thanks, homie.
Delta Senpai.
Delta Montgomery Burns O'Neill.
Ken.
Delta Chan.
Ken.
You continue on, you get telekinesis, plasmid, which lets you then remove a pipe from some gears and open a big giant blast door. You kill some more splicers. You arrive at Ryan's Amusement, but uh-oh, things are frozen. So you have to go through, and you find a dispensary that has incinerate, but you need Adam. So you then have to go and find a little sister. You kill her Big Daddy, so then you can adopt the little sister. And then you have to do a protect the VIP thing twice, so you can get Adam to then buy the incinerate, which lets you melt the ice, and then you have to fight the big sister again, and then you kill that big sister, and then you can move on. And that's very generally what happened in this checkpoint. If you're playing along with us, you understand everything I just said.
Good summary, Scott. That was really good.
Thank you. Nice, quick, concise. We're going on to our soapbox topics now, where we basically take something we experienced in this first checkpoint and kind of discuss it amongst ourselves, and we kind of go round robin style. And Logan, seeing as this was your choice, you can go first. What would you like to talk about regarding things that happened in this first checkpoint?
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I feel like my big thing is I almost want to hear other people's, because so obviously I'm the person who nominated Bioshock 2 and has kind of been one of the people who for years has been like, Bioshock 2 is good actually. Or like,
it's your favorite Bioshock is you've laid claim to that.
I don't know if it's true. Like, I think it ends better than Bioshock 1 for sure. I think Bioshock 1 is ultimately still like a better Bioshock, but like there are definitely moments where I'm like, Bioshock 2 is like phenomenal. I think it ramps so well. Like because in my mind, what I always remembered is that Bioshock 2, I did not like the beginning. I thought the beginning of the game was bad, and then basically every kind of new chapter area after that, it gets like steadily better and better and better, and like it ends really great.
Yeah,
which is kind of the inverse of Bioshock 1. But I think that Bioshock 1 ultimately is probably a better video game, but Bioshock 2 is I think, really great and really clever, and like is a really fascinating, I think, mirror to what Bioshock 1 is in a lot of ways. Like obviously being about like collectivism and like that kind of sort of thing, and then like the mirror to Andrew Ryan in the first game that we had with Sophia Lamb, the kind of more like religious frenzied nature of things here, and just the fact that it's still like a survival horror game in a lot of ways, like Bioshock 1 is, and unlike Bioshock Infinite, it's a neat video game. It's a rad video game, and so for me, like diving back into this now, I guess like the immediate takeaway thing that I'm most surprised by was that the beginning of the game isn't as bad as I remember it being, which has been like a nice surprise. 'Cause, like I remember it being, I've said for years and years and years that like the beginning of the game is like rough, like it's not very fun. And I remember it being like bad, and now playing it out, it's like this is fine. Especially like before you get to Ryan's Amusement, I was like, this is good. Like I have no objections to any of this stuff. This is all fine still. I'm sure we'll get into it more in depth later on, but like Ryan's Amusement, I think is still really good. I think it's also like a little long, a little drawn out. But no, like for me, I guess it's just like the game is better than I remember it being so far. And this is the part that I thought would be the weakest. So like going forward, I'm fairly encouraged, right? Like I've been hopping around a little bit here. Like I have no beef. I've never had any problem with like the Big Sisters and those fights. I've never thought they were like terrible or bad. I never thought that it was like terrible or bad to play a Big Daddy. And even now, it's like, all right, I'm a Big Daddy, I guess. It's not like anything kind of crazy. And so I don't know. Like I'm almost more curious to hear what you guys are going to talk about in your soapbox, and then have that conversation. So
call and response.
Yeah.
One of the ones
because you guys have more passionate feelings, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, like I'm kind of like with you. I think like the intro is fine. I think one of the things I brought up is like how much of a like this is very like one of the soapbox topics I had to specify was like this is like of an era of sequels that like the beginning part of it is like you played the first one, here's the second one, right? Like I think Dead Space 2 is very much like we played that not too long ago. I think that's very, very similar, and it's like here, like I remember like that whole you're running through the mental hospital, and then you get the gun, and it's like okay, you've got the plasma cutter, you're in. It's Dead Space again, and that all happens like very fast. And Bioshock 2 is the same way, like. Yeah, you're in. Like, here's your intro. Here's kind of what's going on. Here's your gun, your weapon. You're in.
Yeah, and that was one thing that surprised me, having not played this game before. Is it drops? I was surprised how fast it really kind of just drops you in, and then it's go time. I was expecting more of bit of a lead up, but after that intro cutscene where you get shot in the head and you kind of come back to life. Once you find the gun, it's like boom. Okay,
you're playing Bioshock again.
You're playing. You're playing.
It's the original.
Yeah,
the original Bioshock has like a much longer lead time too, right? Like there is that thing of like there's a lot because you start off in like the water basically, but even like getting into Rapture, dealing with stuff like shooting you out of the thing where you get like the whole amazing view of it, which is all leading up to. But then like even when you get into the thing, like you start off for that game with a wrench. You have a wrench for like a hot second in that game where you just don't even have a gun still. Like it's a long lead up in that game.
The thing is, I think like time to gun, which is my new like stat tracker that for all book club TTG. Time to gun, I would bet like the time between you get the pistol in Bioshock 1 and the rivet gun in Bioshock 2, I bet they're pretty similar though, because you're walking around with the drill for a pretty good long while. In this game too, so I like it, I guess like it's tough because the intro to Bioshock 1 is like iconic to me,
one of the most iconic video game openings of all time.
It's crazy how like that imagery and how it's like so many games also like comp from that imagery, like that specifically like walking into the lighthouse tower and kind of like the lights coming on one by one, the splicer that attacks your boat, like when the screen goes up when you're in the submergible and you see Rapture for the first time, like all that stuff has been revisited in a lot of other video games.
And
so like
even in this game, you have a bit of a scene where you see the vista of Rapture again. It's after the glass wall breaks and you're underwater for the first time. It kind of opens up and you see Rapture again.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I had this conversation with Jarrett last night before we recorded Input, I think part of the reason why I like Bioshock 2 is that, and this seems obvious, like, because it is like an actual, it feels more like a sequel to Bioshock 1 than Bioshock Infinite, even though Bioshock Infinite was like made by the guys who did 1 and 2 was not made by that team.
Yeah.
And part of it is the fact that it's like obviously just set in Rapture, but like it just like thematically, I think 2 it pulls a lot from that game, and I think it's a weird game because like I feel like you can talk about Bioshock Infinite and not necessarily talk about Bioshock 1. I feel like Bioshock 2 is a harder, like I feel like it's just so intrinsically tied up to Bioshock 1.
Yeah. It's very much so, like, tapping into a similar
DNA. Yeah, and I think that is both to its advantage and detriment at times, and I think maybe it's to its like biggest detriment with the beginning, where again, like, especially for me, like games that have like a more like viscerally powerful, like just immediately just, like takes back kind of opening than Bioshock 1. I don't even know if I need all the fingers on one hand. Like Bioshock 1's opening is like we said, like one of the kind of all-time iconic great opens for video game.
Yeah.
Like every single shot almost is like classic. And Bioshock 2's is a much different opening. But I think that I still like what Bioshock 2 is doing. It's very, and I appreciate the fact that Bioshock 2, that it does have that kind of just like boom, in and out kind of tutorial. Like it doesn't really miss. It's like you've done this. Like we're not gonna make this be like an hour-long tutorial thing or a 30-minute long tutorial, because they don't need that. And
like a big part is like I'm a little conflicted on it too, because I know the benefit of this brief tutorial is that we're kind of in it faster, and then we're gonna get to. In the way Bioshock 2 plays out, because I'm kind of in a similar boat to you, Logan. I remember, and I think Mike, you might have mentioned this too. Like I remember, like the mid to late section of Bioshock 2 being some of the best parts about it. It's just a matter of kind of getting there. I didn't remember the opening of this game like whatsoever. I totally forgot about like walking through the party in like 1958 New Year's Eve, like Rapture. Like I forgot completely about that.
Is a cool moment, right? That's actually
really,
the day like Rapture falls, like you're walking through that party like right before it happens, and it's like that's a really cool like neat tease. And like I think because there have been a few like audio diaries that I've picked up along the way too, where it's like it'll be people on that day still. Like there's one in particular in Ryan's Amusement where it's like a school teacher or something like putting kids to sleep, and it's on that day.
Yeah, when everything goes to hell.
Yeah, and it ends like as people like running in, like shooting gun stuff and stuff like that, and it's like. I think getting those glimpses of that day are really cool because it just fleshes out the world more, right? And like Bioshock 2, I think, has the advantage too of like being set after Bioshock 1 too. So we do get both kind of the fallen Rapture that is in Bioshock 1, but also like what happens after Andrew Ryan leaves and like all of the big sisters are freed. I mean, all of the little sisters are freed potentially at the end of Bioshock 1, right? And like somebody came through and just like wrecked shop basically like shut down Rapture basically is how Bioshock 1 ends, and it's like to see what happens next. I think is really cool as well, and how that kind of compares with like the fall of Bioshock in Bioshock 1 events is really neat.
I'll say one thing, and then someone else can kind of chime in with a thing that they had written down. One thing about like the whole intro and seeing Rapture again, and you see like just how enormous it is, right? A thing I've never felt in any Bioshock game, save for maybe Infinite to some extent, is like the true breadth and size of the location, right? I love that. One of the biggest things I'd love about like a modern Bioshock game, right, is like being able to be influenced from open world games like Witcher or like even Breath of the Wild, like of like making like going to these really disparate parts of this massive city like feel like I'm traversing a long stretch of land, right? Like a lot of the transitions in both Bioshock 1 and 2 are like go into this bubble, go underwater, you're in another part of the city now, and introducing yourself to that part or whatever. But I love the idea of like
very segmented.
Yeah, it's very segmented, which is fine. Like a lot of games of this era were, but like
it's the go into a room and wait for a load while you're in an air pressure thing.
Yeah, one of the coolest things about modern games and some of the more recent games especially is how they can just be open and huge all the time. So a non-segmented Bioshock game would be really, really cool.
Oh, I completely agree. A much more being able to explore all of Rapture would be really, really cool.
I still want to, it's still a dream.
A Metroidvania style.
Yeah.
Bioshock, I think, could be really cool. Set Rapture.
Or even a Doom 2016 style, just a very expansive. I know that's a level-based shooter again, so I'm again creating the same problem. But in that era of kind of stretching and going so far, and you get new powers as you go through it. If they made that game and it was also set before the fall of Rapture, that's the dream game. I think.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Make it happen.
Yeah, let's go. Alex, what's your point? Get on your soapbox.
My soapbox was really the opening stuff, but the one I have here, I guess that both of you two wrote it to some extent as well, is that it doesn't matter at any point that you're a big daddy. Not yet, at least. And I know that stuff is coming, right? I know the big stomp that you get is coming in, the drill charge and stuff. But there's just
and even the narrative stuff too is coming.
Yeah, and it's weird that they, and I'm sorry if that's spoilers for all for you, Scott. But
Scott, yeah.
I know that they do stuff with you being a big daddy, but it's kind of a bummer that right out the gate it does not feel like they're going to
I guess to go into my point of I put down that the game the opening of the game in particular is tonally and all over the place and so can be just weird in terms of like you said it doesn't matter that you're a big daddy in the narrative sense it doesn't make that much of a deal out of it. It just kind of goes yeah, you're one of the old ones and and it's kind of their quote unquote reason to make it not necessarily so you're kind of these newer ones that are much more powerful, even though you in this segment beat a newer one, two newer ones technically, because you have a big sister as well. But the other sense of the other end where I felt it of and I think there are plenty of other games where there's been a case, especially in that era of there's a lot of weird narrative dissonance and just weird tonal stuff of here's this scene and this eerie, creepy music that's playing, and you're in Rapture, it's Bioshock, you remember that first game, and it's great, but then at the same time I'm a big daddy, and I have a big drill hand, and I'm killing 20 dudes as I run through a room, and it's like you said, there's no real build up, and it just felt super weird, where it's there's I don't necessarily need a tutorial, but having a little bit more of a build up of you are kind of this big daddy that's just kind of come back after all these years. And you're supposed to be weaker. I thought there had been. I don't remember you. We only played this was a relatively short time span we played through the game, and I already have 3 different guns, 3 different kinds of plasma. Where I'm igniting people into flames and
one-man army
lightning bolts, and it's just a big drum. And it felt weird a lot of times where it's they're playing it as you gotta get out of here, you gotta run for your life, you're in this dangerous place, and it's I'm pretty okay. I'm just sitting here putting my giant drill arm into a dude's head for 20 seconds and murdering rooms full of people, and it felt weird in this opening bit.
I don't know if you remember Mike or Logan, and I know you didn't play it before, Scott, but the pre-release build up to this game, I remember be the big daddy was I think the marketing phrase for it. So I think when I think of that, and I remember maybe it didn't bother me as much the first time I played this back in 2011 or whatever, but I remember feeling there was a lot of missed opportunity for that narratively. I think they to some extent later on in the game especially justify you being a big daddy mechanically. You feel heavy, you can do some stomping and crushing around and charges and stuff that's very cool, and they get there, and I'm excited to get there. But I would have been more interested if you were a big daddy pre the fall of Rapture. How long were big daddies around in that era? and what would a Big Daddy know about the inner workings of Rapture that an average splicer or person wouldn't know? And I feel like they kind of allude to that with the maintenance shafts, and like you being able to open them and kind of get through these secret tunnels. But I feel like I want to have knowledge about this world that no one else would because they're not as ingrained in it, but I feel like I'm coming into this knowing as little about Rapture as I would if I came into the first one, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bummer. But that's tough because it's kind of a voiceless protagonist and things like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And
you're struggling with that.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's like you said, like I feel like in this opening bit, in these opening parts, I feel like they're struggling with like. They are trying to like be like, remember that first game and how cool it was and how spooky and like how like I have all these iconic moments. But in this time, at the same time, they're trying to like have you be this other thing, and like it feels like they're very at odds in these sequences where they're trying to play it up as kind of like you're kind of in this spooky, eerie. You're like in like the fall after the fall, basically.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be kind of on the run, so to speak. And you're not really. Like I feel like I'm totally capable, like a totally capable Big Daddy, where I can just like run through murder dudes. But yeah. That's just kind of how I felt.
Because I think that point is true for both of you, where it's like, again, like I kind of said a little bit ago, it's like Bioshock 2, I think in particular, is a game where you can't have a conversation about this game without having a conversation about Bioshock 1 to a lot of degrees, because like it almost like explicitly expects you to have like not just play but like be very familiar with Bioshock 1. Like it expects you to just understand a lot about that game, the lore and the history and who these characters are, right? Like it doesn't really explain who Andrew Ryan is. It's just like, yeah, like you know who Andrew Ryan is. Like he's Andrew Ryan, right? Like you know who his character is, right? And, like it even has like small touches like it has in the little like kids theme park area you go through in Ryan's Amusement. It has like whenever he's doing his little like animatronic voice stuff, it's got his golf club and the golf ball in the background there. Like you can just see it there. And it's like a nice little like Easter egg like wink kind of nod thing, and like it just kind of expects you to have already been familiar with these characters in this world. And like again, I think it also, to Mike's point, like like it's been like remember this moment and remember like this kind of theme and like this kind of moment and this feel and all these like things you did in the first one. At the beginning, I think as the game goes on, it really starts to kind of establish itself more. And in particular, I think it's going to start, ironic enough, like where we pick up after this is where, like, for me, it's like it really begins to kind of take hold in terms of like really coming through like its narrative storyline and like these characters and like fleshing up kind of the cast around Sophia Lamb. It really start to develop more, and also in terms of like fleshing out like the Big Daddy like personality, for lack of a better word, and like what you're doing, right? Like. Again, part of the reason why I think I liked Ryan's Amusement the least out of all the sections, and why I thought it was like not that great, and now I'm like it's fine, is that like the ones that come next are going to start really, I think, building out Bioshock 2 as its own thing, where like by the end it is not really leaning on Bioshock 1 at all. Like it is very much fleshed out what it is by that kind of point, and like it just kind of getting set up now, I think. Yeah,
and going off what you're saying, like if. Going off my memory, my hope going forward is like I feel like the beginning of Bioshock 2 is like very much the end of Bioshock 1.
Yeah, kind of, it's almost like an epilogue in a way.
Yeah, it's alluding to kind of what you were saying earlier, and like how like one gets worse as it goes and this gets better as it goes. But like it is like an epilogue. It's like a lot of like the audio logs and things, like there's not like I don't remember there being a ton of Andrew Ryan references past what we've seen. Or at least I hope not, because they do kind of like establish and then divorce themselves from that and move on, and then it does begin establishing like this is what Bioshock 2 is all about, and this is what like this 1968 like time frame is going to be about, and like we get a little bit of it. And one of my favorite parts about this section is I forget his fucking name, but the guy whose audio logs you find that are
the dad.
Yeah, the dad that came down to Rapture, right? And what I like is his little audio log image is in color because it's like the future. It is more recent, right? Versus all the other ones that are in black and white, right? It's a little aesthetic change that's like established. This is Yeah, like his audio logs are of a different era than everything else that you're reading, and you're going to get more and more of that as we get like further and further into the game.
His storyline's really good,
and his storyline's really good, and it's this thing of like this guy came to Rapture way after it fell, like after Bioshock 1, and he kind of just stumbled into it, not really knowing what he was getting himself into, and kind of like reliving Bioshock 1's fear through his is really cool. And that's the thing that they continue doing cool stuff with going through the game. So
I think because you kind of said it too, like Bioshock 1 was essentially like the second fall of Rapture, right? Like it was a thing of like the fall of Rapture on New Year's Day 1959, but then it's like when Bioshock 1, the events that happened, it very much is like the end of Rapture. Like it should have been the end of Rapture. Right? Like again, like Tenenbaum's auto diary pick up is like she left at that point too. She left and was like, this is the like Rapture's over, all the little sisters are free. We've kind of like absolved our sins of this at least as much as we can, and I'll live in like guilt and like whatever. And then in that diary, she's like, and they all kind of grew up and like forgot about me, and I was like, and I'm thankful for that. They shouldn't remember any of this. And then it's like they said again, I've getting disappeared again. So she came back down because like new little ones we didn't like stolen and kidnapped, brought down. And so it's like, I think the stuff where it is just like, all right, Bioshock 1 happened, and like in the interim, something like fucked up is going down here now. Somebody's kind of filled that power vacuum, and it's coming from like kind of the other side of the political spectrum. It's just very, very like neat, and I think we're just going to get more and more. We're going to get more and more of Bioshock 2 being its own game, and like what we're about to play 2 is going to be cool because it's like, and we kind of saw it because you got like an introduction of like Grace Halloway's like audio diary log thing there. It's going to be like, you're going to see teases, I think, of like a direction they're going to go in with Bioshock Infinite as well, and like the next section in particular. And it's just like a really cool. The game's going to do cool things. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
The beginning is still very much very Bioshock 1 heavy. And like what I like to Alex's point is that we're going to still get Andrew Ryan audio logs, but what they're going to be are kind of him. You're going to kind of get like contrasting him and Sophia Lamb. It's going to be like kind of like dueling political philosophies going back and forth. And so I think it utilizes him in a really cool way to kind of further define and shade in who Sophia Lamb is and like what she's about, right? Because like even now, we don't really have like an amazingly firm idea of like her political ideology leanings yet, right? Whereas like in Bioshock 1, before we even get to Rapture, you see the giant fucking statue of Andrew Ryan with like the iconic quote, right, about like no gods and no state, and like also you get like the ideology.
No kings, baby.
Yeah, you get the ideology right before you get to Rapture, and here it's like I understand that she's like not Andrew Ryan, but like it's still very kind of unclear what exactly she's advocating for, and you're going to get more of that going forward, and so it's going to become more of its own game. I feel like.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, on what I had put was. For my soapbox was playing as a Big Daddy, all the negatives, none of the positives. So where Mike said that he felt like a one-man army, I felt like I was not a Big Daddy. Like I didn't feel like having not really played much of the first one and not playing this one, I guess I had a preconceived notion of from the few fights in the first Bioshock where I had played fought a Big Daddy, I felt much weaker and more kind of just sluggish, and even the Big Daddy you fight in this to get the little sister so you can harvest the atom and everything, I just felt sluggish. I didn't feel powerful like I feel like I should have. And like I died a couple times. I'm playing on normal, and I died a couple times to splicers, and I guess I just felt like I didn't feel like the big hulking brute monster. I felt the slowness of moving around as the Big Daddy, but I didn't feel the power and just sheer size and like craziness of the Big Daddy.
Endurance too, yeah.
Right.
A phrase I like a lot that I get thrown around, gets thrown around a lot in Overwatch is glass cannon. And the Big Daddy definitely has a vibe like that. Like I agree with you, Mike, that you have just like all these guns, just like you just need I imagine a man with just so many guns he's carrying. He's like, oh, here's my pocket full of magic powers. Also, like, you are like a militia level of weapons, but like you just go down so quickly. Like you think about the big daddy that you fight, the big sister, everything like that. And I do appreciate that they certainly made it easier to kill bigger things as a big thing yourself. Like those threats are less threatening. But yeah, you just don't like. I don't feel like different from like a dude, or like the guy in Bioshock.
I just feel like a tall dude with big gloves on.
Yeah, who survives underwater with magic.
Yeah,
it's definitely an interesting one because. So like I don't know, like it's interesting because like if I could have done it my way, I probably would have just made you be like a human, like a regular human being again.
Yeah.
And figured out a way to kind of tell that story, maybe make you the dad, honestly.
Yeah, I was just
like
going to say,
like,
I think it would have been a really interesting story point and kind of perspective if you were the dad in the tapes looking for your daughter. And see, like, just a normal guy experiencing all the craziness of this, like, decayed, rundown rapture with the psychotic splicers and occasionally encountering a big daddy and the little sisters and everything. I think that would have been such a more interesting kind of perspective and angle to take this than an old original model Big Daddy. But then again, I haven't played the rest, so I don't know where the story's necessarily going.
And I think
so maybe that will change for me, but at least for this first part, I'm like, that would have been really cool.
Yeah, and I think narratively they do justify you being a big daddy, right? Like it pays off in the end, and like that connection with Eleanor in particular, like what that means for like the story forward is gonna be important. But like, it's a tricky balance and act, right? Like big daddies are probably one of the most like famous, right? Like villains even is like a weird, like famous things you like come across, right?
Enemy type,
Yeah, because they're not even
PlayStation All-Stars, baby, had Big Daddy.
Yeah, and it's like one of the, like kind of the most famous like enemy types in like games, right? And so it's because they're terrifying, like they're just like these like horrible to fight, always like drawn out, amazing kind of epic moments in the original Bioshock, and then here I think. It just changes the balance of it, right? Like I feel like I fall somewhere in between Mike and you, Scott, where it's like I feel you are more powerful than you are until the later stages of Bioshock 1 already. Like you just already are more powerful than you were until like the very end of Bioshock 1, basically. Where that game, like Bioshock 1, you just feel like you can die at any moment, basically all the time for like a good chunk of that game. And here it's just like I'm a big daddy. And they've given you a lot of guns way quicker. They've given you like plasmids way quicker. They've given you like just shit way faster than you did in the first one. But also like it's a thing of like, I fought Big Daddies in the first Bioshock, and they didn't go down like this, right? Like it is that thing for me where it's like I didn't get killed by Splicer at any point in time. The time I died was against the Big Sister. But like it was that moment of like every time you look at it and be like, oh shit, I have no health basically against the Splicer. Like I need to like use that, and like I keep forgetting to do that because I'm like I'm a big daddy, I'm indestructible. And it's like, well, your health bar still says you're human though. Like your health bar doesn't really like act necessarily any differently, and it's like you kind of have to like get like mentally past like your big daddy and be like, but I'm still super vulnerable, even necessarily if it doesn't make sense. And like it's a weird balancing act. Like I think a glass cannon honestly is like a really apt way to describe it in a lot of ways, Alex. And like I kind of feel for them for that, where it's like, yeah, it is a great idea, like to be the big scary monster thing. I mean, it's like, but also
we have to make this a video game.
That is interesting, right? Like where you could die still. And it's like, all right, how do we balance that? Then it's like, well, we have to make you weaker. Like it's like we have to make you weaker is like a thing, but also your baguette, so you need to have like you have a fucking drill for an arm. Like it's like this weird thing. Like it's just hard to like perfectly nail it. And like I think they lean as you go forward in the game more in the direction it's like, all right, we're just gonna make you like more of a Superman kind of character where you're just like this like crazy behemoth, and then it feels more fun when you do get like kind of like the stomp and like just like the drill charge stuff. Like it feels like I'm very powerful now, in a fun way. And like they make it scary less in terms of like I could die for every single foot I take in this world, more of like it's just a creepy ass world. Like what's happening is like really weird and like unnatural and like kind of deranged, and like the big sister fights become like the big daddy fights, and like it definitely feels less like life, because like Bioshock 1, like I never felt safe unless I was like in like a bathysphere kind of thing, unless I was like at the end of a level, like I would never really feel safe. And like here, that's different, but they still utilize, I think, kind of the scare and horror of Rapture in interesting ways, especially going forward. But it is a hard act and a hard balance to kind of strike.
Yeah, what's cool is I find like most games, especially like modern games, like it is way more likely to see them fall apart at the end.
Yeah.
Where Bioshock 2 reads to me not as a game that's like rushed or anything. Like, I don't get that vibe. And me kind of like, again, this is going off my memory of like believing that it does come together and it really does establish something cool by the end of it. It feels like a game that they were like, I don't know how to start.
Yes,
like, I don't know how to. I know where we want to get to, and I know the story that I want to tell, but we kind of just got to get through some bullshit, and then we're gonna be on a roll. I promise. And I feel like you just don't see that with video games that often anymore.
Yeah.
Because most video games I think are made front to back, which is like not true of most movies, right? It's not true of many TV shows. So it is one of those things. Even. Yeah, or books even, where like games are kind of made linearly, but I get the vibe that maybe Bioshock 2 wasn't. And it stands out for that for whatever reason, you know.
Yeah, like Bioshock 2 very much strikes me. That's a really good point, Alex. As like a game that like they had that last act. They had what they wanted to get to nailed down. And it's like, all right, cool. How do we get to this? Right? It is a thing like, especially the beginning part here in particular is very much like, all right, like we know the cool like social issue ideas and like kind of like racial ideas and like philosophical ideas and political ideas you want to get to really like explore around and kind of like roll around in, but also like we have to like A, physically get to those locations, but B, like how do we story get to the locations? It's kind of like, all right, like we're gonna do a 10-year jump for starters right off the bat, and then we're just kind of like have you like literally like travel there via like this like train thing, and it's weird too because like so many of like the big characters in this game have like sort of been introduced, but also like haven't been introduced at all, and it's like it's strange to like kind of know where we're going and then be like, man, like this is like a weirdly it is a beginning that is just kind of like, all right, we just need to get you here. We need to get you to this spot, right? And like in a way for me that like a more like recent game that I think that I said has not a great first act at all, but I think it's because they wanted to get you somewhere too, is like Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Where like I do not like Horizon Zero Dawn's first act, and I think it's because they wanted to get you to that second act where you get to like Meridian and like the fire kind of people, and it's like, this is lit, this is great, this is awesome, but like we kind of had to get you to this very long kind of like slog through things, and Aloy just had to be kind of a terrible character, and it's like I think Aloy never really gets better, but like
yeah, not on the same page with you on that, but
but like I think she just gets like more like I'm fine with her more, but like in this event I think Bioshock like had that idea that it wanted to get to, and like it was going for that, right? And like I think games are tricky too because I think I think beginnings are important in games to like a degree they're less important in other things, right? Where it's like if like the beginning of a movie is bad, it's like, all right, the whole thing is 2 hours long. It's like I can sacrifice like 10 minutes of it not being bad, or like 10 minutes of it being bad to get to like the hour and a half of it being great, right? Whereas in the game, it's like, well, this is it's a longer time commitment, and B, it's like the investment because you're like actively doing it, and I feel like we demand something be really good immediately. Otherwise, like we're just gonna bounce. We're gonna drop after it. Where it's like if the first like chapter book is bad, it's like, all right, like it's a big book or it's a movie kind of thing. Like we just like value these things differently, right? And like I feel like beginnings matter just so much more, right? Like and this is true. Like for like I can think of games that like I've been like, man, like this beginning is like whatever, right? And like maybe the game got great afterwards, and maybe it did, right? And like one for me that works in both directions is Wolfenstein, right? Where like a lot of people bounce off Wolfenstein 1 because they feel the beginning of that game is bad. I think the beginning of the game is totally fine. That people are like, we're overreacting.
I like the beginning of the game too.
Yeah, I did too. But like, people were like, it's trash. And like, a lot of people did not finish that game. And it's like Wolfenstein 1 ends like amazingly. It gets really, really great. And then Wolfenstein 2 for me is one that like I think is fucking trash. I think the game's like an absolute disaster. And in particular, that starts at the beginning. And so it's like, all right, well, I'm going to bounce. Like, I don't have any desire to play this game. And so it's like, games beginnings matter so much more than I feel like movies or, like, books or, like, plays, I guess, where you're kind of locked in. But, like, these kind of other story, like, telling mediums, and it's like, that also might be part of the issue for Bioshock 2, is a lot of people might have played this game 9 years ago and been like, man, this ain't it. And left. And behind what they left at was like a really cool thing that was like really fascinating, complicated, and messy, and way more than they might have initially thought.
Yeah,
it's interesting because having not really played the first Bioshock through to completion, I don't find necessarily that the gameplay in this one.
Bioshock 1?
No. I've only maybe played maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours into Bioshock.
Wow, you know you got to the twist even in Bioshock 1.
Like, I know what the twist is.
Yeah, but you've never gotten to it.
Oh, no.
That's insane. Wow. Scott, holy shit.
Play it, dude.
That's wild. You're like, oh, dude. That's insane.
So it's
Bioshock 1 is a
interesting
great video game.
From my perspective. Like, I did the gameplay and everything in Bioshock 2, this first part, it hasn't bugged me. It's felt like a 2010 shooter to me. It's a pretty
good one too, to be honest. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, my only complaints is and it goes back to that kind of that preconceived notion I have of what I think in my head what a Big Daddy should play like. It doesn't match up. So that's my only real complaint. Like, I feel slow and I don't feel like as powerful as I should be.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think the gameplay is fine. I think the level layouts have been good. I like the little collectibles and the tapes you can find. None of the gameplay aspect has really bugged me for this first part, and even the story stuff. But it's interesting to hear.
Thank you for the
Logan,
Alex.
Talking about how it's a bit of a rough start, having like how Bioshock 1 started strong and kind of ended a bit weak, while with this one, it starts weak and then ends strong. Where for me, it's like, I don't think it's necessarily weak. Nothing about playing the levels or anything. The only, I guess, thing I was kind of annoyed by, and I'm like, oh, please don't do this tons, is when you have to defend the little sister.
You're gonna do it
from
tons.
Strap in, buddy.
Yeah.
From waves of enemies. That was like, okay, but then again, that's like such a 2010 thing.
Yeah, like Navisha and I have this thing where we're like, what is the turret sequence of this game? And that's the turret sequence of this game, but they do it like 18 times. Like it's the part in Dead Space 2 where you're on the drill platform. It's exactly that.
Those are my favorite.
If you hit the pause menu, it'll show you how many of like the little sisters are in each chapter.
Yep.
So you at least know how many you have to do for like each section. But yeah, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it like a dozen more times.
Okay.
It gets more interesting though. I'll give it to them like that. Okay. They start designing those rooms in a lot more intricate ways. And they give you more tools.
And like the enemies you fight are more like clever and creative, and like again like one of the big takeaways for me from this is that like going into this discussion, I was like, this beginning is not as bad as I remember it being. Like, it is better than I remember it being. It is not like, because I remember being like not great at all.
I'm curious what you remember, because I don't think it's bad by any means. So.
No, that's what I'm saying. So now I'm like, oh, this is like surprisingly like all right and like totally good and fine. So it's like, if this is the part that I thought was the weakest, I might be in for like this maybe is like really, really great. But like I think it's a weird video game, right? In like so many ways, and like it is a 2010 video game for all like the good and bad of that. But like I don't know, like, and especially having never played a Bioshock game before, Scott. Like I'm even more.
Well, I played and beat Infinite. I really liked Infinite.
Oh, that's.
Logan doesn't like Infinite.
I know.
I think so that doesn't matter as much.
It's not. The thing about Infinite is that like it's the least Bioshocky feeling game out of the Bioshock. Like it's like very much like it does not feel like Bioshock in the same way that 1 and 2 do. Like it's a very different kind of style thing. Like it's not like a horror game in the same way. It's not like a kind of like atmospheric game in the same way. It's like it's a very different kind of game.
It's a first-person shooter,
Yeah, like it is a shooter where these games are not. Especially Bioshock 1 is like not a shooter.
Yeah.
And
even though there's a lot of shooting.
But it's also like it's interesting too because like Bioshock 1 really utilized like limited ammo, like scarcity of ammo is like a big deal in Bioshock 1, and like you constantly run out of ammo, you constantly run out of like health kits. Like it is like that game is like not super easy, and like it punishes you, right? Like it is a thing of like this world is supposed to be like harsh and unforgiving and challenging. And Bioshock 2 continues at times, like, I've run out of ammo a few times, in particular, like, right before the Big Sister fight, which sucked.
Yeah,
but,
sucked.
But, like, it's a different kind of feeling. I mean, it's, like, a weird kind of them trying to evolve that, but, like, I like what Bioshock 2 is, and I like what Bioshock 1 is much more than Bioshock Infinite. And so I'll be interested to see you play through 2 all the way through completion, and then I'd love for you to play Bioshock 1, even if you know the big twist and everything like that. But like, it's just these games are really cool, and like that's really like Bioshock 1 is like we're talking about one of the 2 or 3 most important games of the last like decade. Like the game's impact is so like gigantic on like genres.
A big feeling that I had, Rapture's just so fucking cool, man.
That's my thing. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I'm talking about. Is like Rapture, like
so cool, dude.
like I haven't played Bioshock 1 or 2 since like I haven't played Bioshock 2 since like 2012, and that's the last Bioshock game I played outside of Infinite. And so it's like I haven't set foot in Rapture other than like the Bioshock Infinite DLC, which was still like 2013 in like 6 years.
6 years,
Yeah, so it's like it's just been so long for me. It's like, man,
one of video games' most iconic places for a reason.
It's so like it's a thing. Like we're like 2 hours in, maybe for me 2.5 hours in. It's just like this world is so fucking cool.
So cool, dude.
Like it's so cool, and like that's for me where like the important thing is like, man, some of the areas you're about to see in Bioshock 2 are like so fucking rad. Like they're so cool, right? And like obviously like Bioshock 1, why I think ultimately I love it more than Bioshock 2, why it is like still one of my favorite games of all time, because like every one of those like areas you go to, save for like the very last one, are like bananas. Like the hospital section you begin in that game is still like one of the creepiest and scariest areas I've ever in a video game. Like that, like the dude is absolutely insane. It's terrifying, and like then going like throughout each like ensuing area is like awesome. And like I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but like the weird demented like artist guy in Bioshock 1 is like one of my absolute favorite like areas of any video game ever. Like he's an amazing character. He's one of my absolute favorite like characters in any game, and then like that world, like that area is so cool. Like Bioshock is great at just like establishing like these like areas that have kind of been like taken over by, like sub bosses, and like they're always super like neat and like charming and like the most like terrifying way possible. And like the Art Deco style is like absolutely pitch perfect. It was such a brilliant choice to have done that for like the world of Rapture, and the setting is great, and like it's just, man, like Alex said, like Rapture is like one of the best video game worlds for a reason. Like it's just so cool, right? And like Columbia is fine, and like it's really cool, but like there is just something to Rapture. Like,
never forget your first, right? You know?
Yeah, like, and it's just like looking at that vista again, even here, is like, man, like this is just neat. Like it's just like
cool, we get a lot of cool underwater sections too, where we get to see it from different angles.
Especially in Bioshock 2, like you get a lot of like different angles at things, and it like it's, I guess it'll be a little bit less like, oh wow, for you, Scott, but like if you've played the first one where it's like, oh, like I've been to this area before, kind of thing, like I've seen this before, and it's like seen it again, eventually seen it again 7 years later. It's like, it's like, this is cool, like this is like, it's just a neat world. Like Rapture's rad. Like it's just like that simple. Like it's just like a rad world, and getting to see that fleshed out going forward is like, man, I'm excited for some of these worlds for you guys to see. Some of them, like by the end, like I swear to God, like they rival some of the Bioshock 1 ones. Like they're very good.
The thing that happened that I was pretty bummed out about, apparently that there's a bug with the Bioshock collection. And there's a limited number of save slots, all of which I used in my playthrough of Bioshock 1 Remastered in 2016. So when I realized at the end of my 2.5 hours straight of playing this part, I cannot save. It hasn't been auto-saving, and I will have to play through this all again. So that was like the very end of my session was like willingly having to quit the game, knowing full well that I'd have to go back and replay it all to go into my like save data utility in the PS4 menu and delete the Bioshock 1 saves.
My game crashed on me twice. Where
my
the game was just like...
Yeah, I didn't have any issues.
I'm on PC though.
I've been lucky.
I'm on PC as well.
But yeah, it would just kick me. It would just close. It would just kick me out to Windows, and I was like, oh, well.
Weird.
That's weird.
Shit.
I it defaults. I can't play it on my TV, which bothers me. I have to play it on this tiny monitor that's in front of me instead.
Yeah.
But I make work with it.
Yeah.
It means nothing except for Alex and Mike and people who listen. Sander Cohen was the name of the guy from Bioshock 1 who's like the demented artist guy who's like, holy shit, he's so good.
He's great. He's probably one of the best like sub-villains in that game.
Absolutely, he's always been my favorite because he's like so
Yeah, that's
so
the third area. So I doubt you would have seen it. It's very good.
Crazy. I remember a crazy doctor.
Yeah, the crazy doctor
is the first.
I don't remember a crazy artist.
Yeah, he's the area after that. He's very uncomfortable. It makes you very uncomfortable. No, he's actually the two areas.
He's the one after that.
Yeah, because there's like a garden that you go through, and then you fight the artist, and boy, howdy.
Just throwing it out there. Should we have played Bioshock 1?
No, honestly, I'm more.
I mean, we're talking a lot more. Like, I feel like we're a lot more positive on Bioshock 1.
Well, we're in the part of the game again where it's like,
but yeah,
there's so many similarities to Bioshock 1, so right? It's so much like.
Totally.
I mean, like again, like I love Bioshock 1. So does Alex, and so it's like we can talk about Bioshock 1, but it's like,
I
and you do too,
right? I wrote about it today, so like, I'm really curious about how, because I played Bioshock 1 3 years ago when the remaster came out.
I haven't played it.
Yeah,
I forgot that
either of them in a while.
I forgot that I played. It was 3 years ago that this remaster came out. I was convinced it was 2. But yeah, it was 2016. October 2016 was the last time I played Bioshock 1. I beat it. So that's like really relatively fresh for me. So again, that kind of hurt going into Bioshock 2. But I also know like the big third act moment of Bioshock 2, and I remember being super disappointed by it when I first played it. So I'm really curious to see it again with a little bit more fresh eyes. And I really want to know how I feel about this game and kind of the more unique stuff that it ends up doing at the end of all of this. So I don't know. I feel like Bioshock 2 is maybe the more interesting conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But I think that's as good of a place to call it for this episode as any. The next checkpoint we'll be playing for episode 2 is we will be playing up through and completing Dionysus Park.
Dionysus
Park. So
and any listeners out there that hadn't played the first section and just want to jump in for part 2 or like listen to this, just know that I also will be playing through the first section again and the second section. So you're not alone, and I feel your pain.
There you go.
And then for Mike and Scott, I mean, I guess more so for Scott, the second section will be a lot longer to go through. Because apparently for you and Mike just blaze through the first one.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like 4 hours for you.
Yeah, just like it'll be.
It's 12 hours.
I was gonna say it'll be quite a bit longer than me.
Look at that, it'll be like,
yeah.
I
want to get every audio diary. That's all I
mean, I feel like I picked up a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
I just like turned.
You're just more efficient than we are.
Yeah, I just finished. I got to the train station and like got on the train and left and loaded in that next area. And then turned it off and it said 79 minutes and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
When I saw the screen that popped up and says, hey, once you leave this area, you can't come back. Even though I'd been through the area at that point probably about 14 times and scoured everything and got everything for sure, I still got stressed out. I was still like, shit, did I get everything?
Props to them for putting the warning up though.
Yeah, I always like
good looks. But I do get to go back, so if I missed anything, I'll let you guys.
There you go. Well, that is going to do it, everybody, for the first episode of Bioshock 2. I think this is officially episode 12 of Video Game Book Club, but episode 1 of Bioshock 2.
Very cool.
As always, when we close out these things, we get a little info from our fellow players. So let's start with Mr. O'Neill. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can follow me on Twitter at Alfighter27. I actually just did a big old long Twitter thread today.
It's very good.
Good list. I didn't realize you were also a Sly Cooper fan.
Hell yeah, dude.
Sly Cooper's great.
Hell yeah.
I didn't realize that you did Jack and Dexter some disservice.
I like to do all things
know what
service.
My favorite part of the entire tweet thread was, outside of the Life is Strange, The Last of Us, and the Cinema tweets, were all very good, and the Persona one, obviously, too, obligatory, was when you did, like, these games almost made it. And, like, I know they weren't ranked, but when I first saw it, I thought they were. And number 51 was Detroit Become Human, and it was like, fucking amazing. I was like, I want to be like, where are George and Jarrett right now?
Because I really wanted. Well, to give a little context, I lost a bet to my co-host on another podcast that I host for Irrational Passions podcast. Brian Obishan Jackson and I bet I don't even remember what the original bet was, but I lost. I was going to have to play Devil May Cry 4. And I didn't play that before Devil May Cry 5 came out. And Nabashim was like, okay, your punishment now is you have to tweet out your top 50 games, because he did that a couple weeks ago. You should go check that out as well.
Also,
so I tweeted out. Yeah, very good list. He did a great job. So it's a thread of like 60-ish tweets. My top 50 games of all time, ranked and ordered. Basically keeping it to one game per franchise for the most part. I tried to keep the list pretty diverse and full of different things, but I wrote a little bit about each of them. I'm pretty proud of it. I worked on it pretty much all last night, I'm happy with it. There's some things that are, like, now I'm thinking about it, that are not on there that should be on there. Some things that I kind of left off intentionally just because of where I'm at.
What's
in
some
my
of
life
those?
right now.
Give me one that should have been on there.
One that should have been on there that I totally forgot about until literally this moment. I feel like terrible, and I think it was on there originally. Is Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door. That was like in the top 15.
Oh, yeah.
That one, I guess I might have deleted it by accident. But that was like legitimately supposed to be there, but I messed up something. And like a couple other, like
Forever Tarnished.
Detroit Become Human. I really want to have a Quantic Dream game on there because I really like their games.
Is Until Dawn on the list?
Until Dawn is not on the list. I'm like, again, like, it was a similar camp, and I started kind of by the end of it where I'm working through the top 50. A lot of where everything is dependent specifically on the two games surrounding it on both sides, and also it's like how I feel about those games right now in this moment, and like how much I still care about them. But I really like the list.
It's a very good list. You go read it
on there.
Check it out.
Alundra on there. It's pretty lit. But yeah, Irrational Passions podcast. I host that. We did episode 420. It was lit.
Sweet.
That's it.
Mr. Mike Burgess, where can people find you online?
At Mike Hits the Wall on Twitter, all one word, and pretty much just youtube.com/Irrational Passions.
Check out Mike's documentary video.
A lot of video stuff.
From Max
East video.
It's so good.
Check it out.
There's a shot that I said when you first put it in like Slack and showed us, and then I saw it in the video, like the full final product again, and it's just that moment where it is like it goes from George to Alex to me to Jarrett, like the 14 staff guys, and then Quinn, like the youngest one of us on. Is like, man, that's a cool fucking shot. Like it's cool to see like it's like where it started, then like where like we're at now. It's like that's a rad shot, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Thank you,
Mr. Logan. How about you, my PAX bed buddy? Where can people
find PAX buddy? You can find me at Logie on all kinds of social media content stuff. You know what I mean? The YouTubes, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Google Plexes.
Google Plus is shutting down.
You got a limited amount of time to go check me out. You got a limited amount of time to check me out.
People kept Halo 2 online running for like a decade, so Logan's going to keep Google Plus going for a while.
Yeah, so you can check me out, all that stuff. What do I have in the works? Well, I'm on Video Book Club.
The first result is from Google.
Google's always listening.
My phone's
they heard him.
That's devilish.
Harris talk shit about Plex. And so you can find me on Video Game Book Club. Hi, I'm here. You're listening to me right now. You can also find me on Input, a video game news show, where I hosted alongside Jarrett and George, who've already been on Book Club, and are just people that you know.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a very good show. We did episode 89 last week, so episode 90 will be live. I don't know when this podcast thing will go live, but
this
whenever
will
you listen to
be
this,
a week from Friday. So
episode 90 to 91 has gone live as I'm listening to this. Send us ideas for what we should do for episode 100. We have some. That's a lie.
Just do the inputties again, but this time louder.
So the inputties, I'm both happy to know that the inputties is like collectively one of all of our like favorite episodes, but also it's like one of the episodes that's done the best. Like it's in like the top 5 most listened to episodes because that episode was so much fun to do, and it was like a rare time we all got to be like dumb and stupid together, and like George is okay with it, and it was so much fun. So if you're listening to that, listen to Input. It's a very good show. Listen to other things I'm on. Listen to the best of list stuff that'll be happening eventually. Don't be needy. Don't be so in a hurry.
Subscribe to Irrational Passions Presents feed.
Yes, it's a good feed to listen to just in general. By the time you listen to this next Friday, whatever, my review of Days Gone potentially might be live. At the very least, it'll be being written by that point. So be excited for that. It'll probably be good. Trying to go on a limb and just guess. Apparently, Dreams video game that people can be playing right now. So go just play that. I have nothing to say.
Like
actually, go read my preview.
Beta,
Go read my PAX West preview of Dreams. I was basically just like, I don't know what this is.
I want there to be a
still feel
in your future, Logan, that you can come on and have a good time and not talk about Dreams at any point.
It's such a weird game. Like, what is it? Like, it's just so weird. It's
haunted you forever. It's in your head.
It's a weird video. That and Red Dead, right?
Yeah.
And then
someone's gonna remake Red Dead 2 in Dreams, and Logan's head's just gonna.
But if they do that, then I'll be like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna do Let's Play on this. I'm gonna do Let's Play of me playing Red Dead in Dreams. And
hating
for
60
every
hours.
second.
Just hate. I'm not playing the whole game. I'm not doing that again.
Oh no, you're doing the whole thing.
It's that thing too. Like every now and again, I look at that thing like, man. I said this yesterday to Jared. It's like, man, I played that game for like 79 hours, and it just makes me bummed. Like, it bums me and be like, man, that's a bummer. Like, I just played that game for so long.
Man, what a life I've lived.
Yeah, right. So go check all that stuff out. Go check out
Yes.
the best of lists on Irrational Passions. The written features are all very good, and go check out all of the good written content. We did so much shit at PAX East. If you ask one Jared Green, it was too much, but what does he know?
Yep.
Anyway.
Scott, what about you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at SolidSnake120. So look forward to that. I'm getting some sort of weird echo from somewhere.
I heard that for a second too. I think we're good.
I don't know where that's from because I have headphones plugged in.
It was the ghost of book club haunting us.
Yeah.
The ghost of book club's regrets.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not hearing it anymore. Yeah, it's gone. I don't know what that was, but yes, you can find me on Twitter at SolidSnake120. You can also find me occasionally popping in and blasting Mavericks over on the IP Twitch at twitch.tv/irrationalpassions.
I don't know what that means.
So look forward to busting.
Is that drugs?
It's
No,
a Mega Man thing.
Mega
Don't
Man?
worry about it, dude.
Mavericks.
Mavericks?
Mega Man X, man. They're Mavericks.
I don't know. I've only played Mega Man X, the first one.
Mega Man X, the first.
Yes.
This time it's personal.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, that's what
This time
the
it's
Robot
Mavericks.
Masters are called. They're called Mavericks in the X
Oh, that's dumb. They're just called Robot Masters still. I remember.
because they go like crazy. They go Maverick. Like they go off the grid. But yes, you can find me there. Got a bunch of reviews edited that I just need to put out. I went on kind of a writing binge last week, so I got.
Yeah, you crushed it, man. I was reading some of your stuff.
I'm
excited for people to be able to see your
So
stuff.
yes, check those out coming up soon, and in the meantime, check back next week for the edited version. If you didn't catch this book club live, it will be up edited and looking super pretty with gameplay of Bioshock playing in the background. And then the following week we'll be doing more of this with talking about the next checkpoint. So look forward to that. But yeah, that will do it for us at Irrational Passions and Video Game Book Club. I want to thank everyone for stopping in and hanging out. Big thank you to Mr. Logan, Alex, and Mike for playing Bioshock with us, and a special thanks to Logan for suggesting it. I'm noticing I'm getting my experience with these series just jumping into the second game. Did it with Dead Space, did it with Bioshock. It's going to be a thing now. So.
Yep.
Pretty much. Thanks for stopping in, everybody, and we'll catch you all next time.